For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Starry Night Oracle. I am an intuitive, purpose-based traditional astrologer, and I'm here to hopefully help you understand what's going on within the cosmos so that you can prepare for what's to come and transcend the 3D reality we all exist in. Now, for this chart, we are looking at the full moon in Pisces. It's Wednesday, the 30th of August at 9:35 p.m. That might shift depending on where you are in the world. And if you are looking at the chart and watching the video, please ignore that it says Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That's just my location. It's going to shift with the houses depending on where you are in the world. Now, I do want to go over this in two charts. So we have this one main chart, which is astro.com. I'm not getting paid for this, by the way. These are just the sites that I use. And then this chart, which is Time Nomad. Now, the reason I'm using this chart is I like to get into the celestial bodies, not just the planets. I find that when we look at things like Hygeia or Icarus or Eris or Vesta or Juno, we are given the opportunity to get a little bit more deeper meaning with what's going on in our reality and in the world and in the cosmos and how all of the energies at play affect us all. And I don't like, if you can see on this chart here, on the Astro.com chart, you can see they just use like the words. And in some places you get the symbols, but in other places you're just getting the words. And the type of energy that I read and how I look at a chart, I go by the symbols. That's just the way my brain works. So I'm going to switch to the other after I've gone over just the planets on this one so that I can get a little deeper into the charts. And I know that that's not how all astrologers do their readings. There's a lot out there that can literally just read it off and be totally fine. But that's how my brain works. That's how my intuition works. That's how I read the energy. So we're just going to go with that. So looking at this chart, the first thing that we see, well, I see, is this moon at 7 degrees of Pisces sitting opposite the sun in Virgo, and that gives us the full moon. Whenever the sun and the moon are opposite, the sun lights up and illuminates the moon, shining the light into the dark, and it's basically giving us the opportunity to see that which is hidden in the night. Now, it's important to note that with Saturn sitting at 3 degrees of Pisces, and it is retrograde, that before the moon moves to 7 degrees, it goes over Saturn in Pisces. Now, Saturn is the stern teacher. It is karma. It is hard lessons. So this moon, as it passes over Saturn, it's very much about emotionally, because the moon is our emotions, emotionally and intuitively, because again, the moon is our intuition, and Pisces is a very intuitive sign. Looking at everything that we've been through and really feeling the hard lessons of the past. Now, to me, Saturn is very much the stern teacher. A lot of us going to school, and I think most of you can relate, had a teacher in school that was probably a hard ass. Gave you a hard time, didn't you let it get away with any slack. The papers had to be on exactly on time. Nothing could be late. If it was, you were deducted. You couldn't miss a test, and you had to do all of the homework and no fooling around in class, and pay attention and stop talking and put your phones down or I'll confiscate them, or you're going to go to the principal's office. No goofing. Like that teacher. We all had that teacher at some point in our lives. That's Saturn. But the thing with Saturn was Saturn knows your potential. Saturn knows what we're capable of. Just like that teacher knew what we were all capable of. If we just focused, learned the lessons, put our heads down, did the work, that it would all be fine. And when we slack, well, that's when we end up having to go to summer school or stay late after class or do whatever because we weren't learning the lessons and we weren't doing what we were told. Saturn is very much about do what you're told. And with Saturn and Pisces, what we're looking at is tests of faith. Are you able to let go of control? Are you able to go inward and face these new karmic quests and these tests of faith that are going to challenge you in a way that a lot of things, other things haven't? with this full moon moving over Saturn in Pisces retrograde, we're going to feel everything that we've been through. And so a lot of this is about us facing this karmic wounding that we have and this trauma that we have on a collective and personal level, so that we can transcend the experience that we're having and move beyond just existing within this 3D reality, thinking that this is all that there is, because there's not. We dream our lives into reality. Everything that is sitting in whatever room you're in right now, whatever space you are in right now, that was once a thought in somebody's mind, it was once just something that existed in the ethers, that was then brought down and created and built or drawn or whatever, and it went through a variety of stages in order to become a physical manifestation within the 3D reality that we live. This is very much about what is the dream life that you have, because Pisces has to do with our dreams. So what is the dream life that you have? Again, this test of faith, Saturn and Pisces, this test of faith, that we are divinely guided and protected at all times, and that there really is nothing to fear. Having said that, this full moon is probably going to bring up a lot of issues related to, again, that collective trauma, to our grief, and to deep-seated fears, especially when you look at what's going on in the world. It's re-triggering us. We're literally being re-triggered all over again. And again, with Saturn going retrograde, it is having to do with things in the past. And this is Pisces. We're looking at Pisces right here. This full moon is going to be a lot of people wanting to escape. It's going to be a lot of people wanting to exist in a space where they're just numbing out, whether it's through food, sex, alcohol, drugs, sitting in a space where you're by yourself and you're not tapped into the reality around you. You're literally just at home eating whatever you want, binging Netflix or whatever it is that you're watching, just so that you don't have to feel anything, because it's all just too heavy and it all just hurts too much. I know that it's going to sound like scary and overwhelming, but there is a bigger purpose to all of this. And so if you're struggling right now and you're going through a really, really hard time, just try and remember that it's not forever, it's just for now. We're just moving through a really challenging time. Again, thanks, Saturn, we appreciate you. But it's so that we can get to a better place. Once the moon moves off of Saturn, and I really do think that that's going to be like the hardest part of this, is actually going to be before the full moon. I really do. Because once it comes off of Saturn, and again, this is a really close orb, 3 degrees to 7 degrees, that's a really close orb. Once it comes off of that, that's when we see this opposition to the sun. And so again, we're dealing with Virgo themes and Pisces themes. Reality versus illusion. It's literally sitting opposite this sun in Virgo. And that's our 3D reality. And so what do you want to focus on manifesting within your life? What do you want to focus on creating within your life? Now that you've come to the realization of like what it is that you're going through with these hard lessons, and like, do I really want to repeat the past? Do I really want to go through all this hard stuff again? Do I really want to go through all of these hard experiences again? Do I really want to do that? No. Okay, so since I don't want to do that, as per let's nix out Saturn, now that I don't want to do that anymore, let me look at my reality. It's this sun in Virgo right here, because that's what's actually illuminating the moon. It's shining a light into the darkness, and it's illuminating that path for us, which is the Virgo energies. Where can I be more practical? Where can I be more realistic? What steps do I need to take to create this reality that I want to have? And it's our moon, right? And it's in Pisces, it's the dreams that we have. So if you could have a dream life, anything, if you could name it, if you could say, my dream life looks like this, what would it be? Where would you live? How would you live? Who would be in your life? What kind of people? What would you be doing? And I find that a lot of times when you ask somebody, if you weren't doing the job that you're doing now, what would you be doing? A lot of people will say, I don't know. That's okay. That's, again, to me, Saturn and Pisces. I don't know. That's part of the lesson, but that's a really great place to be. Do different things. Try different things. Get a feel for what you like to do and what you love to do and what you feel good doing. Are you singing? Are you painting? Are you helping people? Are you playing with animals? Are you in the wild? Are you in nature? Are you driving a car? Because it can be anything. We've been brainwashed to believe that we're only supposed to be having like jobs or careers, which, okay, fine, sure, that's for some people, but that's not for everybody. And so for some of us, it can be a hobby. So that's part of what this is about. If you could do anything, what would you do? How do you make your 3D reality, the sun in Virgo, come to a space where you feel like your dreams are being fulfilled? Because that's the moon in Pisces. And where are you not living up to your own potential? And there's no need to be hard on yourself for that. And again, that's the sun in Virgo. Virgos can be very self-critical, very hard on themselves. And so this sun in Virgo is going to potentially have us being really hard on ourselves, especially if we're not living up to our potential, that's Saturn in Pisces, and we're not having faith that we can do the things we want to do and live the lives we want to live. And so it's important to remember that this is just a period of time and it will pass. Now, at the same time as this full moon, now granted, it's not exact as far as to the degree, but we do have this interesting grand trine, the sun in Virgo. We also have Mercury in Virgo with Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And then we have Uranus and Jupiter sitting in Taurus. And so the three of these create a grand trine. And trines are easy moving energy. They are helpful. They aren't a struggle. And so with them all being in Earth sign, Earth sign, and Earth sign, very much based on our 3D reality. Everything to do with us here on Earth and the way that we live our lives. It's very tangible. It's very 3D. With Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, that's watching all of the old fall apart, the old structures. Pluto is death and rebirth, transformation, destruction. Pluto just demolishes everything in its path. And the way that I see Pluto retrograde in Capricorn is it's literally just tearing down everything that is old and outdated that needs to go. With Capricorn, we're looking at government, governmental bodies, politicians, politics in general, climbing the corporate ladder, anything to do with authority and authority figures and misuse of power. It's literally all of that is just being demolished. And the way that we saw it as being a trusted source and as, you know, you could trust in your government and you could trust in this. Nope, it's being demolished. So we have Pluto retrograde in Capricorn that's kind of tearing down the old ways of being. The sun and Mercury in Virgo. And Mercury's currently retrograde because Mercury is actually one of the rulers of Virgo. It's definitely going to have us feeling that when it comes to communication. So it's very important to be precise with your words. Don't just speak hastily. And if people you are around you and you find that they're being critical, let that be okay. And don't take it personally. And then we have this Jupiter and Uranus now in Taurus, which Uranus is also retrograde and Jupiter is about to go retrograde. Yay, retrograde party. So enthused. So Jupiter expands everything it touches. It's in Earth right now. It has to do with Taurus. We're looking at themes of the Earth itself. We are also looking at finance, foundations, feelings of stability, feelings of security, the things that make us feel secure. Now, because Uranus is there in retrograde, a lot of people will not be feeling secure right now. A lot of people will not be feeling safe right now. A lot of people will not be feeling like they're standing on stable ground right now. And with Uranus retrograde, which has to do with the unexpected, the only thing that you can predict about Uranus is that it is unpredictable. And with Taurus, you're looking at money and you're looking at the earth. And so I find what will very likely happen is you might see more things to do with unpredictable weather, more things to do with unpredictable earthquakes. And again, there's an expansion there. So there's the potential for things to get either blown out of proportion or for the effect of the thing that's happening to actually be really big. So it could be really big earthquakes. It could be really big financial shifts. It could be really big shifts within the world and the earth as we know it. Again, if we look at this ground trine between these three, we're looking at things happening within our 3D reality. And so this is where this moon in Pisces, having moved over Saturn, is going to be all about, do you have faith and can you trust Jesus, take the wheel, let go and let God. Because everything is happening for a reason and there is a higher purpose and we are all going to be okay. Again, it's not exact. If we look at the moon and we look at the key players here and Saturn makes a lovely little sextile over to Pluto in Capricorn, which is its supportive aspect. So everything that is falling apart right now and everything in our world that is shifting and changing and coming undone and being demolished, it's karmic and it has to happen. It's not necessarily something that we need to be scared or worried about. Just have and keep the faith. At the same time, we have Saturn and the moon making another sextile over to Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus again. And this is in front of Saturn. So that's sort of like the future. This to me is sort of like the past. That isn't like how a lot of astrologers look at it, but to me it's kind of like Saturn's caught in the middle of these two. And push and pull between the past and the future. Where we're going and where we've been. Where we're going is to building solid and stable foundations. But in order to have these solid and stable foundations built, we need to knock down what was. So that we can clear the whole area out and then build anew. Jupiter is a great benefic. It offers great blessings to those that do the work, which again is this Saturn, do the work. What is the work? The work is have faith, trust the process, know that everything is going to be okay. And this is just what needs to happen for now. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be worried about. I know that it feels hard and heavy, but it's all going to be okay. After the moon meets with Saturn and then makes its little opposition to the sun, it heads over and meets with Neptune. We're looking at the potential for a lot of escapism. Expect the media over the next little while to just be out of control. You're not going to know what to believe. You're not going to know who to believe. You're not going to know what's truth, what's fact, what's fiction, what's whatever. None of us will. And so just do your best. Again, the spiritual lessons with Saturn and Pisces, do your best to maintain a sense of discernment. Don't just blindly believe what you see and what you hear. And that's on both sides. I'm not speaking about, one side is the truth and one side is lies. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking for yourself. Lean into yourself. What do you know in your heart of hearts to be true? What do you feel? Pisces is feeling. What do you intuitively feel and intuitively know to be true? That's going to come through differently for different people, but what do you know to be true? Now that all of that is said and done, we finally have Mars moving into Libra. Mars doesn't like Libra. Mars isn't happy in Libra. Mars is the god of war. He wants to fight. He wants to charge in. He wants to defeat. And in Libra, he has to be diplomatic. And he doesn't like being diplomatic. After having come out of Virgo, where he wasn't really happy either, he's now got to go through Libra. And so again, the South Node is our karma. It's where we've been. It's the lessons we need to walk away from. One of the things we kind of have to walk away from is being diplomatic. We need to exist a little bit more in our sovereignty and our determination, I guess, while still maintaining a sense of diplomacy. It's kind of like we need to be diplomatic with ourselves, even though we don't want to be, and we can't be hard on each other and we can't be hard on ourselves because we're all going through a process of healing right now and we're all moving through really heavy, hard energies. I'm going to do a separate video on this, but it is worth noting. We're looking at Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde. Venus thankfully goes direct on the 5th of September, so very soon. We have Saturn retrograde, we have Uranus retrograde, we have Neptune retrograde, we have Pluto retrograde. The nodes are always in retrograde motion, so we don't really count them. We have Chiron retrograde, we have Shericlo retrograde, we have Hygeia retrograde, and we have Eris retrograde. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's at least right now 10 celestial bodies retrograde, and we're set to have, thankfully, Venus go direct on the 5th. We're going to see Jupiter go retrograde, which is going to leave a lot of us feeling like there's nowhere left to turn. And it's worth noting that every year, we go through a retrograde period where a large chunk of planets are retrograde. It's just part of the process. So don't look at this and think that it's just a one-off. We're in it. We're in the thick of it. We really are in the thick of it. And so just look at it like that. We are wading through the bog and we are in the thick of it. And I am going to say the bog, especially with the moon being a full moon in Pisces. We are in the bog, the misty, foggy bog, and nobody knows what to do. And the best we can do is just make it through, hoping that everything is going to be okay. Again, our test of faith. So now that I've done this, we are going to shift over to this chart, which is Time Nomad. It's an app. I absolutely love this app. I'm not paid to say this. I just really love this app. It's one of my favorite apps. So what we're going to look at with this chart is Vesta, which is our inner spark, our inner fire, our hearth, how we keep things alight, making this aspect, this trine, thankfully, sextile, over to Eris and the North Node in Aries. Eris is Aries' sister. She is kind of like the goddess of war that believes in equality for all. And so we're all existing in the space of aligning with the North Node, right, which is our destiny, our collective path and destiny. And so we're all existing in this space where we have it within us to keep that fire within us alive, even with all of this heavy water energy with Neptune and Saturn and the moon in Pisces. Now, it's worth noting as well that even with these heavy water energies, as far as Pisces are concerned, right now, thankfully, nothing in Scorpio and no celestial bodies in Cancer. It's just Pisces. So yes, it's emotional, but it's not as emotional as it could be. Instead, we're very grounded in these earth energies right now. And so it's about us all sort of moving through this space where we are turning our 3D reality into what we want without having it be too emotional. And I know it's emotional. I know a lot of people have been having breakdowns to breakthroughs, but that's part of the whole process, is to break down to break through. Last but not least, Icarus and Sag. So Icarus is the risks that we take. I personally love Icarus. Icarus is one of my favorite celestial bodies. It is about the risks that we take to get our freedom and learning our limitations when it comes to flying or moving too far, too fast, too high, too fast. So Icarus and Sag is actually making square to Neptune in Pisces. Where are you disillusioned about your reality and the dreams that you have and the beliefs that you have that are either keeping you stuck within the reality that you're existing in when it's not where you want, and are holding you in a space of not believing that it's possible? If you hate your job, why don't you leave? Well, I can't because I'm making this amount of money, and because I've been there for this many years, and because I have a condo I have to pay for, and I have a car insurance and a car I have to pay for, and I have this I have to pay for, and I have that I have to pay for, and the money that I'm making, I can't leave this job because I'm not going to get another job like this somewhere else. I'm going to have to start at the bottom of the ladder, and I'm too old for all of that. And all of these things are self-limiting beliefs. Where in your life do you feel trapped and stuck, like you can't break free? And what would it take for you to believe that you are able to do the things that you want to do? You're going to have to believe that anything is possible and that you can have the life that you want to have. But we've been brainwashed to believe that we can't. We also have this beautiful, again, trine over to it, because they're both fire signs. You have it within you to take the risks and create the life that you want to live and to feel good doing what you're doing. At the same time, we have Lilith and Leo. Part of what we're moving through at this time is existing in a space where there is a feeling of, I don't want to do this thing or make this choice or go to this place or whatever, because if I do, I'm afraid I will be ostracized. So there's stuff to do with woundings around feeling ostracized. And we have Lilith sitting at 26 of Leo, making a very close trine to, like orb of a trine, to Eris and the North Node in Aries. So when we look at this grand trine that's happening with the fire signs, even if we include Chiron, it's all about once you step into your power, once you start believing that you can have the things that you want to have, once you start getting over this disillusionment, this lack of belief, these self-limiting beliefs, once we get past all of that, we can move into a space where we believe in ourselves and we can have the lives that we want to have. No, it likely won't be easy, but it also doesn't have to be a struggle. It also doesn't have to be scary. And the more that we are willing to get rid of these self-limiting beliefs and take the risks, Icarus, to live the lives that we want to live and live lives that we love living, Venus and Leo, the more that we are going to heal these wounds around being ostracized and not feeling good enough. And all of that has to do with us stepping into our path, this North Node in Aries, stepping into our power, stepping into who we are. And so as you move through this full moon in Pisces, remember, you are fully capable. Yes, the world outside seems dark and shaky and scary, like nothing is going to go your way and you can't see a way out. This is really just an opportunity to focus on cultivating a sense of inner strength and resilience, to connect with your own inner wisdom and intuition, and to come to a deeper understanding of the role that you are playing in the bigger picture. So last but not least, and I probably could have done this first, but I feel like this is a nice place to end the video, is the fact that we have a full moon in Pisces, being that full moons are all about culminations of cycles and things ending, and Pisces in and of itself is the last sign of the zodiac, which is about culmination and things ending. So this is all about us closing out cycles and letting things go. Very much so about releasing and surrendering to what was and what will be. We've gone through full moons in all of the signs, made our way to the very end of the zodiac, and with this very close proximity to Saturn, this is very much about the end of karmic cycles, the end of restriction, the end of things that held us back, and the end of things that kept us stuck in place. Now, with Neptune also in Pisces, this can hopefully be the end of illusions, disillusionment, confusion, not knowing where we're going. Because from here, where we go is to the next sign, which is Aries, and Chiron is in Aries. So the next full moon and where we're going next is going to be about healing those wounds after we've closed out a cycle. And this is very good, so try not to let it get to you. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully that offered a little bit of an understanding of what's going on with the cosmos and what's going on in our world. I know that it was heavy, but I think for those that really want to understand what's going on and really want a deeper dive into everything, that this might offer just a little bit of insight and help you understand that this isn't forever, it's just for now, that there is a purpose to it, that we're going to get through it. So I hope that that helped, and I hope that you are having a great evening or a great day wherever you are. My name is Starry Night Oracle, and I have been your astrologer for this evening.